The greatest illusion we've accepted is that virtue guarantees freedom. But what if the so-called goodness you strive for is really just a sophisticated chain, an invisible leash crafted by society to keep you compliant? From early childhood, you were shaped to conform. You earned praise when you bent to expectations, punishment when you dared to express your true self. You learned to believe that sacrifice equals nobility, silence equals humility, and that dissolving your desires is the highest moral act. Over time, this conditioning turns into pride. You convince yourself that self-denial is strength, that kindness means never saying no, yet the world worships submission. It elevates those who follow scripts, who mimic norms, who vanish behind facades. But it fears the one who carves their own path, who defies, who creates. This is why nature unsettles us. It offers no comfort. It drags you into uncertainty, forcing you to question the very foundations of your beliefs. It does not hand you answers, it demands you discover your own. When you encounter this challenge, you are not reading a simple guide to morality. You are listening to a force that shatters all your inherited notions about virtue, sacrifice, and what it means to be good. This video is a confrontation, a mirror reflecting your deepest fears and desires, a mirror you may resist, but one you must face. Because if you spend your life chasing a false ideal of goodness, you risk losing yourself completely. This is not an endorsement of selfishness, nor a call for arrogance. It is a call to authenticity, power, and living from your core, not from the shadows of others' expectations. Nature understood a harsh truth. The morality imposed by the collective is designed not to liberate, but to domesticate. It's meant to keep you predictable, tame, and harmless. And the virtue you cling to may be nothing more than a habit of shrinking away, of hiding behind socially acceptable masks, pretending to be noble, when in truth you are only afraid. Why does this hurt so much? Because deep inside, you know there is a fire waiting to burst, a desire to break free, to speak your truth, to live fiercely, wildly, and honestly, but you hold it back, you freeze, you silence your own voice because you were taught that such boldness is dangerous, egotistical, reckless. Yet nature looks into your eyes and dares you, then be dangerous, be wild, be free. True virtue is not submission, it is overflow, it does not fit in, it rewrites the rules. If this message reaches you, let it remind you, no more bending to a world that underestimates your power. It's time to question everything. If you are ready, continue. But after this, you may never see yourself the same way again. Music swells and fades when the old certainties crumble. It is not a provocation nor a stunt. It is the collapse of a world built on unquestioned dogma, a world where morality was handed down like a script to follow blindly. The death of these certainties leaves us in a void, a chaos where the old map is gone, and we stand on the edge of meaninglessness. No longer is there an absolute good or evil guaranteed by external forces. In this abyss, a new possibility arises, the emergence of the Creator, the one who crafts their own values, who does not rely on inherited laws but on inner truth. This Creator is neither tyrant nor savior. They are someone who has transcended herd mentality, who lives from self-derived meaning, who does not seek approval or safety. They reject tradition but without childish rebellion. They stand alone, not in isolation, but as a bridge, a passage to new ways of being. And yet, many get stuck in between, clinging to old beliefs that no longer serve, trapped by fear of the unknown, hostage to conformity. The birth of the Creator demands destruction, burning away inherited illusions, old identities, false securities. If you feel caught in this crossing, that uncertainty is normal. It is the womb of transformation. But transformation requires courage, the courage to let go of familiar morals, to walk uncharted paths without a guide. Nature did not come to comfort you. It came to challenge you, to say freedom demands you surrender security, face the void, and create meaning anew. But first, recognize the trap you've been caught in, the trap of imposed virtue. We will now explore how this false morality demands, confines, and controls, even under the guise of goodness. If this resonates, consider subscribing for more explorations like this. You have been taught to believe that being good means obeying rules, fulfilling duties, always serving others, but look closer. What if behind this praised virtue lies a tyranny of sacrifice, a virtue that demands constant self-erasure, that binds you with guilt and obligation? This false virtue cloaks itself in altruism, but is fueled by vanity. It makes you say yes when your heart screams no. It fashions martyrs out of those who never asked for such a role, then demands pride in suffering. This is a social construct designed to keep you tethered, a morality born of resentment from those who lack the strength to be free, condemning those who dare to assert themselves. Notice how the so-called good often live in judgment, poised to condemn freedom in others while masking their own fears. This demanding virtue feeds on control, recognition, and guilt. Worst of all, it often lives inside you. How often have you felt guilty for setting boundaries? How many impulses have you suppressed out of fear of being selfish? How many times have you sacrificed your truth to avoid conflict? That is the demanding virtue one that measures your worth by your usefulness to others, not by your loyalty to yourself. But there is another way, a virtue born not from obligation or fear, but from abundance, a virtue that gives because it overflows, a virtue that asks for nothing because it has everything. This is the virtue we will now uncover. Prepare to understand a virtue that shines like the sun, radiant, unconditional, and unbothered by applause. In a powerful moment, the Creator rises to reveal the only true virtue, the virtue of giving not from duty or guilt, but from fullness. This giving is natural and effortless, like sunlight pouring freely on all things without discrimination. This changes everything. While conventional morality is based on scarcity, on lack, and need, this virtue arises from excess, from overflowing life. It is not sacrifice, it is abundance. It is not striving, it is being. The sun does not choose who to warm, it does not ask for thanks. It simply shines because it is its nature. So too, this virtue gives because it cannot contain itself. No agenda, no calculation, just pure expression. This demands a radical shift in how you see yourself. If you believe goodness requires struggle and self-denial, you remain trapped. True virtue flows from wholeness, not from repression. It acts from essence, not from rules. Nature offers a vision of the human who gives because they are free from need for approval, free from fear, free from constraint. And if this makes you uneasy, that is natural. You may recognize how much of your supposed goodness is still a mask, a way to seek acceptance and avoid rejection. But awareness is the first step to change. The virtue of giving is not just an act. It is a state of being, and this state can only emerge when you break free from the idea that you must earn your place in the world. There is nothing to prove. You do not need anyone's permission to be yourself. Even this pure virtue, however, is subject to life cycles. Nature does not romanticize permanence. It confronts us with the truth that all things born must also fade. Even the highest virtue must learn to die. This acceptance is not defeat, it is freedom, because true power lies in knowing when to give and when to withdraw. Giving without pause leads to exhaustion, bitterness, and resentment. The free spirit knows when to step back, to return to source, to renew in silence. And here lies the deepest wisdom. Knowing how to give is essential, but knowing when to stop giving is even rarer. Our egos want to immortalize virtue, to be remembered, applauded, celebrated. But the truly free know that all things must flow, giving, loving, living, and eventually dissolve, making space for the new. The Creator does not cling to their creation. They allow it to live and die in time. And this invites you to reflect. What are you holding on to that has already run its course? What identities, roles, or beliefs should be released? Nature challenges you to let go even of your most cherished goodness. And letting go demands silence, inner silence. The space where renewal happens, the place where you reconnect with your true source. The culture around you fears silence. It demands noise, presence, constant giving. But nature offers another path, conscious withdrawal. Disappearance that heals, absence that replenishes. The Creator retreats not in defeat, but in wisdom. And if you feel the call to step back, to rest, to be quiet, to disconnect, this is your permission. Not to surrender, but to gather strength, because true giving springs from an overflowing well, and the well must be refilled. Do not fear silence, embrace it. Listen deeply to yourself. In the stillness you will find your true power. You are enough even in silence. Now, I invite you to write in the comments below a simple affirmation, a commitment to honor your silence and renewal. Write, "I choose the silence that restores me." Read what others have shared. You may find you are not alone. If you made it this far, know it was no accident. Your journey is just beginning. You might be wondering why silence holds such transformative power. In a world obsessed with noise, constant chatter, endless distractions, unceasing demands, silence feels almost revolutionary. But silence is not mere absence of sound. It is the presence of self. It is the clearing of the mind's clutter, the softening of internal tensions, the moment when the soul is no longer divided. In that sacred stillness, you come face to face with your true nature, awe, unfiltered and unafraid. This is the place where true power germinates, not in force or noise, but in quiet strength. Many spend their lives fearing silence, associating it with loneliness, weakness, or invisibility. But what if this fear is itself a symptom of the conditioning that has trapped you? The same conditioning that taught you that your value depends on your productivity, your usefulness, your approval. You have been taught to fear emptiness because emptiness suggests lack. But true emptiness is fullness in disguise. It is the fertile ground from which creativity and authenticity grow. When you dare to sit in silence, you begin to dissolve the barriers between who you are and who you imagine you must be. This process is not painless. The layers of false identity built through years of compliance, sacrifice, and self-neglect do not peel away gently. They cling, they resist, they scream for attention. You may experience waves of doubt, anxiety, or despair as you confront the parts of yourself that were hidden away. But these moments are the dark soil needed for rebirth. Each moment of discomfort in silence is a sign of transformation. It means you are shedding old skin, making space for a new kind of life. And what is this new life? It is a life lived without apology, a life where your actions flow naturally from your inner truth, not from imposed duties. A life where giving and receiving exist in balance, where generosity is spontaneous and boundaries are sacred. This life does not reject connection. Rather, it demands connection grounded in honesty and mutual respect. It is not a withdrawal into isolation, but a deep, courageous engagement with the world as you truly are. At this point, you may ask, how do I begin this journey? How do I cultivate this inner silence and authenticity in a world that prizes noise and conformity? The answer lies not in grand gestures or sudden upheavals, but in daily, small acts of courage. It starts with choosing moments of quiet in your day, however brief. It begins with saying no to requests that drain you, even if that means disappointing others. It continues with observing your thoughts without judgment, noticing when your actions are driven by fear or obligation instead of genuine desire. You can practice listening deeply, to your own body, to your emotions, to the subtle whispers of your intuition. This listening is an act of rebellion against the external scripts you have internalized. It is reclaiming the authority over your life that you may have long surrendered. It is recognizing that the voice inside you is as worthy as the voices outside. This journey is not a path to selfishness, as many fear. Rather, it is a path to radical responsibility. Responsibility not to please, but to be true. Responsibility not to conform, but to create. When you live from this place, your relationships transform. You no longer give from depletion or duty, but from abundance and desire. You attract others who respect your boundaries and honor your presence. The false virtue of sacrifice is replaced by the real virtue of mutual flourishing. There is an ancient wisdom in this, hidden beneath layers of dogma and cultural myths. It says, to be truly free, you must first claim your freedom within. Freedom is not granted by others, it is awakened inside you. And freedom requires truth, truth to yourself and truth to the world. Without truth, freedom is a mirage, a cage disguised as open sky. Yet, freedom is also terrifying. To be free means you must stand alone at times, face rejection, lose certainty. The crowd will resist you because you disrupt the patterns they depend on. You become a beacon of possibility and threat at once. This is why so many retreat back into conformity, after brief glimpses of freedom. The cost seems too high, the comfort of the known too seductive, but consider this. What is the cost of never stepping into your freedom? What does it mean to live a life half alive, dictated by fear and obligation? The slow erosion of your spirit, the quiet death of your desires, the fragmentation of your identity. You become a shadow of yourself, lost in the crowd, unseen even by your own eyes. The call of freedom is therefore a call to courage. Not the reckless courage of bravado, but the quiet courage of persistence. The courage to return again and again to your own truth, even when it is painful. The courage to say no when you must, yes when you want, and to live with the consequences. This courage is the backbone of authenticity, and authenticity is magnetic. It draws to you those who resonate with your true self, who respect your journey, who offer reciprocal love and support. It creates communities of belonging not based on masks and roles, but on shared vulnerability and strength. In these spaces, the false virtues crumble, and the true virtues shine. One of the greatest challenges on this path is learning to embrace imperfection. Society sells perfection as the highest ideal, but perfection is a cage disguised as a prize. It demands constant performance, hides failure, and silences authentic expression. To be authentic is to be imperfect, flawed, and real. It is to show up with your scars, doubts, and contradictions intact. This rawness is where true connection begins. You may fear rejection if you reveal your imperfections. This fear is natural but not absolute. Those who reject you for your imperfections are not your true allies. Your real community will embrace you fully because they too are imperfect. Together, you create a space where growth and healing are possible. Healing is an integral part of this journey. As you shed old beliefs and false virtues, wounds from past conditioning surface. These wounds of guilt, shame, fear must be faced with compassion. Healing does not mean erasing pain, but learning to sit with it without judgment. It means transforming pain into wisdom and strength. This process may require solitude, reflection, or seeking support from others who understand. Remember, healing is not linear. It comes in waves, with breakthroughs and setbacks. Patience with yourself is essential. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Another essential aspect is embracing your desires, not as sins or selfish cravings, but as vital expressions of your life force. The false morality that taught you to suppress desire did so out of fear that your desires would lead to chaos or harm. Yet, when acknowledged and integrated consciously, desire is a guide to what nourishes your soul. It is the language of your vitality. To live authentically is to honor these desires responsibly and joyfully. It means rejecting guilt imposed by external codes and trusting your inner compass. This shift from repression to acceptance transforms how you relate to yourself and others. It fosters compassion, not just for yourself, but for the messy, beautiful humanity around you. You learn to hold space for others' journeys without judgment, understanding that everyone is navigating their own path between fear and freedom. The path of freedom and authenticity is not a solitary pursuit. While it requires solitude and self-encounter, it also calls for community. True community is not built on convenience or superficial connections, but on shared commitment to growth, truth, and support. These communities become sanctuaries where you can practice new virtues, experiment with freedom, and find encouragement. Yet, beware of substituting one cage for another. Communities can become rigid, enforcing new dogmas and expectations. The truly free remain vigilant, always questioning even the spaces that nurture them. Freedom is a constant practice, never a fixed state. This continuous practice invites a radical acceptance of change. Life is not static, and neither are you. Holding tightly to any identity, belief, or role out of fear stifles growth. True freedom embraces the flow of becoming, the mystery of unfolding. It learns to dance with uncertainty rather than resist it. To live this way is to be a creator, not in the sense of building empires or accumulating power, but in the profound act of creating meaning, values, and life itself anew every day. This creative act is sacred. It demands presence, intention, and courage. It also demands humility. To create means to admit that you do not have all the answers, that your truth is always partial, and that you are part of a larger, unknowable whole. This humility does not diminish you, it expands your capacity to learn, adapt, and connect. As you walk this path, you may encounter moments of despair or meaninglessness. These are natural in the absence of inherited certainties. But despair can be the doorway to deeper insight. It strips away illusions, forcing you to confront the core of existence, that life is finite, uncertain, and ultimately mysterious. From this confrontation emerges a profound appreciation for the present moment, the only true reality we possess. Freedom is found not in distant goals or abstract ideals, but in fully inhabiting the here and now. It is in this presence that the seeds of joy, creativity, and love take root. This presence is not passive. It is a vibrant engagement with life's complexities, embracing both light and shadow. It allows you to move through fear without being paralyzed, to act with integrity even when outcomes are uncertain. You become a participant in the ongoing unfolding of existence, a co-creator with nature itself. To reach this place, continue cultivating silence, authenticity, courage, and compassion. Practice giving from fullness, not lack. Embrace imperfection and desire. Build and nurture true community. Hold freedom as a practice, not a destination. Your journey is uniquely yours. No one else can live it for you, yet you are never truly alone. The same forces that shaped you also invite you to rise, inviting you to be wild, free, and whole. So in closing, remember this: true virtue is not about sacrifice or suffering. It is about overflowing life. It is about being so full of your own truth, your own power, that giving becomes effortless. It is about daring to live fully with all the messiness and glory that entails. Take this message into your life. Let it challenge, inspire, and transform you. And above all, honor the silence where your true self waits patiently to be known.